this will lead into a general discussion.
Okay.
So the next story we have here is Disney has brought back Resort Airline Check-in pilot program.
Yeah.
So likely to expand further. And then we'll talk about what this could mean, because Disney themselves had a press release talking about the importance of the Disney bubble themselves, and perhaps recognizing it and understanding they need to try and reinforce that after seemingly over the years doing things to, take perks away from people staying in the bubble. But they have brought back the pilot program of the Resort Airline Check-in.
Yep. So this is a very limited pilot program. Guests of Pop Century Resort can check in for their flight on property at the resort. Only Southwest is available right now. So if you're flying American, United, Delta, whatever, it's not available right now. The program will roll out to other value resorts sometime in April, sometime this month. The process allows you to drop off your bags after you've checked into your flight and paid baggage fees, because they enacted those baggage fees for Southwest.
People have grown really fond of that.
So I got to pay for those. But the same company that used to do this for Disney years ago is not the same company, but it's run by the same person. It's like a new company run by the same owner.
Yes.
So it used to be Bags Inc. And now it's this company called Bag Check, run by the same guy. Anyway, so yeah, they're starting that back up. And as far as I can tell, there's so much positivity around this that people are like, yes, bring that back. We want this.
Yeah, some more information about the company behind this. Like you said, BagCheck is a new company that is handling this. Has its roots in the former Resort Airline check-in process. BagCheck owner Craig Mateer is the former owner of Bags Inc., which previously handled the Resort Airline check-in. So apparently he knows this stuff very well. So he is the owner of the company handling this. And there is job openings on Disney property for these positions. So it is going to expand to the values first. And then, so presumably this will end up at all the resorts, I'm sure.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. But I mean, I think this is something people like the option to be able to do. I mean, we've used it when we lived in Missouri, and it was a nice perk to be able to just put them there, not have to worry about your bags and things like that. One less thing, especially if you got kids in tow, one less thing you got to worry about. So I think this is a step in the right direction in doing things like this.
The only thing that is you have to check it really early before your flight. So if your flight on the day of your flight is before 1:00, you have to do this. You have to take your bags down the night before.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a, yeah.
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 So, which makes sense because they have to have time to get it and then take it for you.
And once you give them your bags, you can't access your bags again.
Right. So if you really need something in your bags, have a carry-on with you too. And then so after 1 p.m., then you could check in that day.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Well, and also they're not fully advertising that this is back. This is just word of mouth, essentially. Cast members
That's
are telling.
So crazy.
Well, I think they're doing it because it's a pilot program. They don't want to become overwhelmed necessarily.
Yeah.
But so Disney is not really promoting this right now. They're just kind of, they tend to do this like when they do mobile ordering. They start like one place and then they do another. So like instead of a mass rollout, they kind of do it slowly, which is probably a smart move, even though, the company that previously did it probably knows how to do this now because of the guy running it. But this is kind of what they're doing here. But it is interesting. This gets into further discussion about 2 days before this announcement about the airline check-in service, Disney released a PR statement about the importance of the Disney bubble. And I'll read through a little bit here. So they invited the media at a panel, and it was the importance of the Disney bubble, and they were reiterating that. And then they had a press release. And they said in the press release, a Disney vacation can be the culmination of a dream for many guests in what's known as the Disney bubble. To fans, guests embrace nostalgic memories and create new ones from arrival to departure. It's the idea of having an all-encompassing experience whilst guests are here, allowing them to visit the parks, stay on site, dine, shop, and use transportation without ever leaving property. Allison Armour, Vice President of Resorts Operations, said, I think I first heard the term from our first guest voice when we would ask them, why are you booking? Why are you coming back? Talking about the Disney bubble. They tout the amount of rooms and hotels they have. Chelsea Philly, Vice President of Customer Experience and Commercial Strategy, shared that demystifying the planning process, especially for first-time visitors, is key. Guests want to feel confident about their choices so they can enjoy themselves when they arrive in the bubble. She also spoke about the challenges of operating during COVID-19 for some reason. So Disney heard loud and clear how these decisions impacted guests, and as a result, the customer experience team was born. I've never known about this team. This is the first I've ever heard of it, that there was a team dedicated to customer experience. They hold the responsibility for understanding the drivers of complexity and looking for meaningful solutions to alleviate it during a customer's planning and booking process. I'm curious what they've been doing because it seems to be more complicated, but this committee does exist. It is a thing.
I think, too, that maybe referring to like the guest experiences, the blue tents
It could
in
be.
the parks. I think that's part of
Yeah.
it, too.
It was an interesting press release, just given I've never known Disney to directly say the Disney bubble. I always felt it was something that fans and guests would refer to as. So I would say the Disney bubble is this important thing that seemingly they're just sort of realizing. And this has led to a lot of people to think with the airline check-in coming in, Magical Express was your first step in the Disney bubble. I mean, it was the thing that literally encouraged people to, we'll take care of you. You're going to stay on property the whole time, and then we'll take you back to the airport. And I mean, and from not everybody used it, but from the standpoint of like, especially if you have kids, like small kids,
Yeah.
getting an Uber or Lyft is complicated because of car seats and expense. And it was really nice when we would fly in. It was kind of like your vacation just started as soon as you landed. You go down to the Disney part of the airport and you just, you use your Magic Band, you check in. Like, it was nice to at least have the option. So I do wonder if this is step one in perhaps bringing this back. And there's also a lot of people that apparently a lot of the shuttle services have been getting a lot of negative feedback in terms of they don't run great. And also some people said,
like mirrors.
yeah, and some of the costs have been adding up and people are doing other things. The pieces are there if they want to bring this back, and I think they should. I think it was a major mistake to get rid of it because I think this was spreadsheet management 101 of just like, and I know there's other things like the Mears contract and all this stuff went into it, but at the end of the day, if you had a Walt Disney or Steve Jobs in charge, they would just say, figure it out. Like, it was such an asset to them that nobody else had, and it gave them an advantage that they no longer have.
Yeah.
And I think I think they should do it. And, it's like, okay, you took away this one expense, but you're assuming that your revenues were just going to stay the same or grow. But I would be really curious to know, is the many people that use Magical Express and stayed on property, how much more money did those people spend?
Yeah.
Because you have a very captive audience at that point.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that they're probably considering. But my main thing is that, yes, they want the importance of the Disney bubble, everything is important to them because they want you to stay here. They want to keep you there. They want you to be able to be like, hey, come to the Disney bubble and stay in the bubble.
Right.
Don't go out there. Don't go outside. Stay in here.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. And I think, honestly, this is why I love competition. Competition is great because now, seemingly, from what we can tell, from what I think, it seems Disney has been caught a little flat-footed by Universal and Epic Universe. And I'm guessing by their discounts they ran last week to this rhetoric coming about the bubble, about the airline check-in process coming back, I think they're seeing something in the bookings they don't like. That would be my hunch, because you wouldn't be doing these things if your bookings look great. My guess, and I think you had said it when we were talking privately, this might be they're not liking the bookings they're seeing near Christmas, because obviously that's the busiest time of year is around Christmas time. And if competition forces them to bring back things they should bring back as perks to add more value to a trip, then I think ultimately that's a good thing. And they're never going to come out and say it was a mistake to get rid of these things.
Right.
But I think it would be good. And also things like when you buy something in the parks, having it delivered to your hotel room. How much money have they been losing out on people not buying things in the parks because they don't want to lug it around all day? Like things that are just, you would almost think are just simple.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's like, well, like especially retail, like impulse buying is a thing in retail. How many people go in to buy something and they're like, well, it's 8 a.m. I don't want to carry this around all day. And then by the end of the day, they either forget or they talk themselves out of buying it.
Exactly.
And so like whatever cost it was to deliver those to the room or the hotel, I mean, I feel like you would make up way more money. And I think this is just over the years, it's been in the pursuit of profits every quarter. You nick these things away, you up the ticket prices while removing perks. And I think now they're starting to feel the ramifications of that.
Yeah.
And perhaps this is them pivoting back to getting back the perks that used to be there. And if so,
I think all the writing's on the wall,
absolutely.
at least in my opinion, that Magical Express will come back in some way. I don't know if it'll be like it was. It may not be completely free.
I need to tell you right now, it needs to be free, because if they bring it back and they charge for it, it's just going to be another thing that a perk they got rid of, and they eventually brought it back, and now they're charging for it. So whatever they would gain back potentially would be lost in the nickel and diming of what they've been doing. Like, again, just build it into the cost. They already did this. Like, you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that where it's like it's a perceived value, but it is something I think families especially would utilize quite a bit, and it's a nice option. And again, I mean, you really will. I mean, at this point, if Disney does this, it's very likely Universal would do the same thing.
Yeah, and for sure. Like, Magical Express is the number one thing that keeps you in the bubble.
Yeah.
So do that, Disney.
Well, and it's like some people said on comments on the YouTube channel was talking about this. They're like, money that I'm spending to rent a car or a shuttle is money I'm not going to spend at Disney. And if you're renting a car, well, okay, might as well go to Universal. Might as well go to these places. Like, if you're going to have the car.
I have a car. I can just drive over there.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the incentivizing of you don't have to worry about a car. And people can still leave property, obviously, but it's a little bit more of, you can get a Lyft or an Uber and things like that. But it's a lot more. It's another step to do it.
Yeah.
So them getting rid of it, I always said it was a mistake. I think it was a very short-sighted.
Everybody was mad.
Well, it's a very short-sighted move to make. And, I think it would go a long way in repairing a lot of damage that's been done to fans that have gone for a long time and bringing more value to trips. And I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
There's other perks I think they should bring back, but this, extended magic hours being one of them. Stuff like, longer with a lot more perks for hotel guests. If they aren't liking the bookings they're seeing, I mean, if we're being realistic about this, obviously they can't build attractions quicker than they're already building them. They're really going to be left with perks and discounts. They've already ran pretty major discounts. You could, I know people would, I'm not saying this will happen. This would be a wish list, but you could see something along the Lightning Lane multi-pass end of things where it becomes a perk to stay maybe at a deluxe level hotel. I mean, you could. I'm not saying you will. You could. Because obviously Fast Pass going away is one of the things that people that irks them the most.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would legitimately be a free perk they could throw on to, like, stay at a premier hotel or stay at a deluxe hotel and you get Express Pass included. Like multi-pass, not the Premier Pass or single pass, is just the multi-pass being available. I could see that potentially coming into the fold.
It's possible. It's possible.
But they're not going to make it free for everybody because they've made almost $1 billion from introducing that. But yeah, we could see on the cusp of them bringing back a lot more of these things as they compete more and more, obviously, this summer and the coming years with Epic Universe. So
yep,
it's definitely possible. But yeah, if
and right there, that whole thing about their community customer experiences and talking about the stuff that they're doing this summer, you would be silly to not know or not think that they're a little scared of Epic Universe.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to admit this, but it really is true. They may not be like shaking in the boots kind of thing, but they're a little concerned.
Well, I mean,
it's evident they are. Like, it's just, if you see everything,
the ticket,
they're concerned.
The deal they announced last week where you get the $89 per day ticket that doesn't include Magic Kingdom. It's the other three parks. That tells you right there where a lot of their concern lies, which is the other parks. I don't think Magic Kingdom's going to have an attendance issue, but
never does.
But the other parks could.
Yeah.
And it's not that people may not be coming to Disney, but they just may not be coming as long. So doing things to try. Basically, at this point, it's like, if you can do anything, if you're Disney, to chip away days from Universal, like 1 to 2 days, like if you run these deals, you get Magical Express, you make these, it makes sense to do this. You could chip a day or two away from Universal for some families. And I think that is a strategy they could utilize on top of, I think they're trying to get more APs and Florida residents to make up the difference. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, and really, too, it's just like from a consumer standpoint, Wall Street Journal talked about people inside of Disney were growing concerned because of the price hikes, and apparently the internal surveys about guest intent to return wasn't looking great. So this could be a reaction to that as well. So I don't think it's just I don't think it's just Universal Epic Universe. I think a lot of it is stuff they have changed a lot since 2019 that they may just now be feeling the ramifications of.
Yeah.
Or at least recognizing it, I guess I should say. So, but we'll see. At this point, the next week they could have more announcements, but I think we will get.
I hope so.
I think we will get word pretty quickly about the airline check-in service expanding pretty quickly because again, there's job openings at Disney for this, and
crazy.
I think they're just going to add in more and more. By the time June rolls around, I think you'll probably have it at all the resorts, if not sooner.